Hello and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this week's Wednesday Interlude, in which I discuss my reading progress of the book that I've been reading since last Wednesday, and in which I turn the spotlight on Bertie Wooster and P.G. Wodehouse. And if you enjoy these spotlight on episodes and don't want to miss future episodes, be sure to subscribe and ring the notifications bell. But before that, I read The Killer Angels by Michael Shara, which is a reconstruction of the Battle of Gettysburg. I read this for the Try a Chapter tag, Take 2, which will be published on Sunday the 26th of May, so I won't say any more about it now until then. Now let us turn the spotlight on Bertie Wooster and P.G. Wodehouse. Bertie Wooster is a fatuous idiot. Juvenile, foolish, immature, shiftless, useless, and a blot on society. Can't help loving him. His memoirs are a delightful romp through Edwardian society of the privileged rich who frequent clubs and country houses without a care in the world, pampered by servants, and whose greatest concern is to be properly attired for dinner and social gatherings. We shouldn't like this character or for anything he stands for, but Bertie writes his memoirs with verve, sparkling prose, and the sheer joy of life, which carries you along, involves you in his petty concerns, and provides some innocent fun, and, it must be said, some dark and disturbing moments, occasioned by the presence of his strange and somewhat sinister gentleman's gentleman, the controlling and self-opinionated Jeeves. But first, a little background information on his creator, P.G. Wodehouse. P.G. Wodehouse was born in England on the 15th of October 1881 in Guildford, Surrey. His full name was Pelham Grenville Wodehouse. His first name was contracted to Plum, and he was affectionately called Plum by his family and friends, and this was how he signed his letters to them. Wodehouse was a prolific author. He wrote 96 books, wrote or collaborated in the writing of 16 plays, wrote the lyrics or some of the lyrics for 28 musical plays, and collaborated in the libretti of 18 of these. He wrote more than 300 short stories, much humorous verse, and the scenario for half a dozen films. Writing in the 1920s and 1930s, Wodehouse wrote the lyrics and sometimes part of the book of 12 musical comedies which were performed in London and New York, and he wrote or adapted 7 straight plays. His Broadway musical comedies, which he wrote in collaboration with Guy Bolton and Jerome Kern, played an important part in the development of the American musical. Wodehouse achieved worldwide fame during his lifetime, and his books sold millions of copies all over the world. Leading contemporary writers praised him as a writer. Hilaire Belloc described him as the best writer of our time, the best living writer in English, and as the head of my profession. Evelyn Waugh spoke of him being touched by the sacred flame, which burned with growing brilliance for half a century. The University of Oxford conferred an honorary doctorate of letters on him in June 1939. I first discovered Wodehouse in my public library when I was 13 years old in 1959, while Wodehouse still had 16 productive years ahead of him. I was enthralled by his masterly use of the English language and by his unique style, and consumed all of the Jeeves books I could get my hands on, one after the other. Wodehouse created many other characters for whom he wrote a series of books, but my favourite will forever remain Bertie Wooster and his servant Jeeves. I like the fact that the stories are written as memoirs from Bertie's perspective. The one novel that Wodehouse wrote in the third person, Ring for Jeeves, in which Jeeves figures without Bertie is good, but not brilliant. It lacks that, whatchamacallit, Jeeves. I fancy you mean je ne sais quoi, sir. Exactly, Jeeves. And now, of course, I must give you a taste of Wodehouse's style and Bertie's flippant but delightful manner of writing and speaking. This is from page 1 of Wodehouse's 1960 novel, Jeeves in the Offing. Jeeves placed the sizzling eggs and bee on the breakfast table, and Reginald Kipper, Herring and I, licking the lips, squared our elbows and got down to it. A lifelong pal of mine, this Herring, linked to me by what are called imperishable memories. Years ago, when striplings, he and I had done a stretch together at Malvern House, Bramley-on-Sea, the preparatory school conducted by that prince of stinkers, Aubrey Upjohn, M.A., and had frequently stood side by side in the Upjohn study, awaiting the receipt of 6 of the juiciest from a cane of the type that biteth like a serpent and stingeth like an adder, as the fellow said. So we were, you might say, rather like a couple of old sweats who fought shoulder to shoulder on Crispin's Day, if I've got it right. The plat du jour having gone down the hatch, accompanied by some fluid ounces of strengthening coffee, I was about to reach for the marmalade when I heard the telephone tootling out in the hall and rose to attend to it. "Bertram Wooster's residence," I said, having connected with the instrument. "Wooster in person at this end. Oh, hello," I added, for the voice that boomed over the wire was that of Mrs. Thomas Tarleton Travers of Brinkley Court, Market Snodsbury, near Dulwich. Or putting it another way, my good and deserving Aunt Dahlia. "A very hearty pip-pip to you, old ancestor," I said, well pleased, for she is a woman with whom it is always a privilege to chew the fat. "And a rousing toodaloo to you, young blot on the landscape," she replied cordially. "I'm surprised to find you up as early as this, or have you just got in for a night on the tiles?" I hastened to rebut this, sir. "Certainly not. Nothing of that description whatsoever. I've been upping with the lark this last week to keep Kipper Herring company. He's staying with me till he can get into his new flat. You remember old Kipper? I brought him down to Brinkley Court one summer. Chap with the cauliflower ear." From 1946 until 1975, Wodehouse lived in America, becoming an American citizen in 1955. He was awarded a knighthood in January 1975, but suffered a heart attack and died on the 14th of February 1975 at the age of 93. In this brief introduction, I could only hit some of the highlights, but if you'd like to read more, then check out the free resources in the show notes below. There's a full-length novel for you to enjoy, and a link to the TV series with Hugh, Laurie as Wooster and Stephen Fry as Jeeves. Let me know in the comments below if, after hearing the extract from Bertie's memoirs, you're not attempted to try some of Wodehouse's novels or short stories of this character. There are 4 omnibus volumes available, such as these. I can also recommend Wodehouse on Wodehouse, which contains 3 books that effectively make up his autobiography. In this week's Sunday morning meetup, I'll be presenting the trial chapter tag, Take 2. So be sure to subscribe and ring the notifications bell if you want to hear my take on that tag. So that's all, folks, and remember to comment, subscribe, like and share, and I'll be back soon with another BookTube video.